This week in agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry with agriculture broadcasters Orion Samuelson and Max Armstrong, and featuring agriculture meteorologist Greg Solier. This week in agribusiness is brought to you by Case IH and your local Case IH dealer. Coming up on this weekend's broadcast, we put biofuels in focus. What lies ahead? Hello, everyone. Welcome to our broadcast here. Mr. Mike Pearson alongside me. I've been traveling, and I know you have too.
I have, Max. Where did you go this last week?
Well, we went across some counties of central Illinois and central Indiana. I had the privilege of being on the program at the Association of Indiana Soil and Water Conservation Districts and at that farm show at Gordyville, Illinois. You know, there's a lot of field tile going in this winter.
There is, Max. We talked to Jacob Hansacker a few weeks ago about it here on the show, and he said he has been busy all fall getting that tile in the ground for farmers.
And you were at a meeting where you got an update on biofuels.
I was last week, had the opportunity to travel to the Iowa Renewable Fuel Summit in Des Moines, where I caught up with Emily Score. She's the CEO of Growth Energy, and she was talking to me about the recent battles they've been having in the court system this past year over E15.
We're defending our ability nationwide to buy and sell E15 year-round. The oil industry sued EPA. We tried to help defend them in court, and we lost. Growth Energy then filed a petition for cert to the Supreme Court, asking them to take this up on appeal. The U.S. Supreme Court denied our petition, and we weren't surprised by that. But we wanted to exhaust all of our potential legal remedies. We now have, and we have two pathways left. Either federal legislation, and Congress changes the law, or EPA comes out with a new rulemaking. We think they absolutely have the ability to give fuel parity once and for all to E10 and E15, so this issue is done and consumers have access to a cleaner, more affordable fuel.
In conversations with the EPA, do you think that type of shift is going to happen in this administration, or should we be looking more at legislative action?
It's a little early to tell. Certainly, this is something that's entirely consistent with the administration's climate agenda. Greater use of higher blends of biofuels means lower reductions in terms of our greenhouse gas emissions. That's a good thing for the administration. This is a relatively new topic for them. They didn't anticipate having to deal with this issue when Mr. Biden came in. So we're in early stages of conversations, but I assure you the industry is very uniform in our chorus. We have to get this fixed, and you've got to do it right away.
On the legislative side, obviously ethanol has supporters across the country. Is there enough critical mass to get something across the finish line in this political environment?
Well, so we'll start with the first part. Yes, we have strong bipartisan support to remedy this, to get year-round sales of E15. Less than 2 weeks after the court decision denied the EPA's rule, we had bipartisan legislation introduced that quickly. So we've got strong bipartisan support. You know, this year is going to be tough legislatively because we're looking at midterm elections, so kind of political dynamics beyond our control. We're trying to be creative and constructive and pursue what avenues might become available. So it's really conversation with legislators, but also keeping the pressure on with EPA that can make this change.
Emily, the ethanol industry has had a roller coaster over the past 2 years in terms of profitability, in terms of usage. Bring us up to speed. How does the ethanol industry sitting in January 2022?
At this moment, not too bad, but it has been quite a roller coaster, as you say. Most importantly, fuel demand has returned. So we're nearly back to 2019 levels of fuel demand and ethanol demand. That's really important for us, of course. When we look at kind of the policy environment, one of the big things that this administration has to deliver for us, strong blending obligations for renewable fuel. They've come out with a proposal. It's a bit of a mixed bag. So there's things that we like, there's things that we need to see fixed. So a big part of our conversation with the White House is you've got to finalize this proposal, get strong blending requirements out there because it's consistent with your commitment to the rural economy and your commitment to clean energy jobs.
That E15 issue that Emily was talking about is a blend of 15% ethanol in the nation's fuel supply. Currently, we've got about 10%, so bumping that to 15% year-round would provide some more opportunity for ethanol sales. Last week was a busy week in Iowa. Just a few blocks away from the Iowa Renewable Fuel Summit, Iowa Soybean Association was having their winter meeting. I had the opportunity to moderate a panel. We discussed fertilizer, we discussed policy, lots of issues on people's minds this winter. Michael Doltz shared with me some comments that Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds made about biofuel access.
In her condition of the state, she outlined a comprehensive biofuels access bill. First, want to point out her leadership on this issue, dating back to this last session, introducing a bill that did fall short, but we were able to educate lawmakers on the importance of biofuels, ethanol, and biodiesel to the state of Iowa and the feedstocks that are used to produce those fuels, corn and soy. Specifically for soybean farmers, very supportive of this action and the bill moving forward. Again, increasing access to higher blends of biodiesel. And I think one thing I really want to spell out to listeners is it's also a biodiesel production tax credit increase. So it's going to support the biodiesel producers here in the state. We've all heard about renewable diesel coming online and the amount of soybean oil as a feedstock those plants are going to suck up. Obviously, we need our folks here on our home turf to have access, that same access to soybean oil at a good price. So,
Michael, it's hard to believe that folks in Iowa might not have access to renewable fuels. What were some of the hurdles that this bill might remove?
sure, and it has to deal a lot with the infrastructure and compatibility, both on the ethanol side, less so on the biodiesel side. Most underground storage tanks, blender pumps, anything dealing with that fuel infrastructure, for the most part, is up to speed. So B20 for sure, B20 plus compatibility, which it's a nice hurdle not to have. But again, I know on the ethanol side, they're working through those provisions with retailers as well to knock down those hurdles and increase that access.